Okay, so this is the part of how to start a home-based business and invest and actually earning extra money instead of just saving money. And when you start a home-based business, you kind of want to draw on your own experiences in life and skills and training, the things that you've done in the past and things that you could do better, cheaper, or more conveniently for someone. And so that's the best way that I know how to start a home-based business. I've tried buying into a franchise, doing something that was done by somebody else, and yeah, those can do well too, but my favorite has been where I'm just doing something I would have done anyway. And for instance, one of the things that I've done and gotten very successful with is I opened up a party rental business, and the way I got started with that was that I had a bounce house because our family likes to party, and we used it a lot. And so somebody asked me if I rented it, and I said, okay, $25, and they rented it. And then somebody else asked if I rented it, and I'm like, okay, $35, and then $45, and then I found the magic number at around $65 eventually. And by that point, I purchased another one that was used that my sister owned and wasn't doing anything with. And then from there, I purchased two more, and then I purchased a water slide, and it just kind of kept growing. And I've had a lot of success with Facebook. I have a Facebook page where people can go to, and I've done a lot of different ways of promoting the business, and I have a web page that I designed myself. And that's part of my continuing education part of it, is that I took an online class from BYU Idaho in order to learn how to do web design again, and I created my own simple website, but it's enough that I'm getting orders by email and orders by phone. My husband had to tell me to stop marketing, and so I actually have stopped for the last few years because he's the one that goes and sets up all these fun things, and so he was getting overwhelmed on the weekend because he does have a main job. And so that's something that has grown to a point where the marketing I did before of having a website and a Facebook page and the repeat clients and everything else and word of mouth has just grown. Something else that has done really well is just in my own community Facebook pages. People just tend to know that that's what I do because they'll ask, and people refer me and things like that. And so it's just kind of grown itself, and it keeps making money without me doing anything except for booking them and going and delivering them at this point. So I did have to learn some extra skills, which was web design. I already had some skills with designing on Photoshop and different things like that, but I've taken extra classes in order to learn more. There's also lynda.com or different places that can teach you how to do things. So that's kind of something that you can do, is start a home-based business. And again, like one other thing that I've done is, like, I'll buy vanilla in Mexico and I bring it up to the US, and I'll sell it to a few people here and there. And so I'm always looking for ways to make money, but those are some of the things I've done as a stay-at-home mom. And then investing in real estate and stocks is definitely important as well. And so the ways that you can earn more money is to buy something at garage sales and then resell it. We once purchased some bikes for, like, I think they were $5 a piece, and the lady was just ready to get done, and we said, I'll give you $5 for both of them. Brought them home, my husband fixed them, and we made $50 on them. And it's not quite worth our time, so I don't go around shopping in garage sales and doing this all the time, because he did spend quite a bit of time fixing the bikes, and so he gets paid more at work or doing other things. And so it just depends on how much need you have and how much you can actually do. And we look for opportunities as well. There was somebody that was going to junk their car for $400 or $450, something like that, and my husband quickly said, no, I'll buy it from you, don't junk it. And he paid him that money. He came back and we sold it for a couple $1,000 after he fixed the AC and a couple things on it that didn't cost much. And so something else is to sell all your old items, and instead of donating them, try to have a garage sale first, and that sometimes can get you some money. And then there's also other ways to earn more money. So one of the things that I did was that we had a home where we had purchased it for, our loan was like $200,000 on that home. And I decided to do a 15-year loan instead of a 30, but then our mortgage payment was going to be really high. So what I did was I actually took that home and I got a $40,000 equity line and then put the rest on a 15-year equity and a 15-year loan. So it did bring our mortgage up from like probably 1,100 to like 1,550, but we wouldn't have been able to do it had that equity line been in there. And then that 40,000, the way an equity line works is that it's actually only being paid on the interest, so you don't pay down any principal. And so what this did for us is it cost us to go into a 2.75 interest rate on our main loan, which was now a 15-year loan, because 15-year loans are typically at least 1% less, if not 2 sometimes less than a 30-year loan. And so that helped us to get into a 2.75 interest rate there. And then our equity line was at a 4% rate, but that 40,000 was there. We're not having to pay principal, so it made it affordable to where we could afford it. And then at that point, with that one, we paid it off as soon as we could, and then knocked it out, and didn't even have that payment anymore. And so those are some of the things that you can do. And you can go to bankrate.com and do a mortgage calculator and kind of run different scenarios. There's lots of mortgage calculators out there, but that's just one of them that can help you know what you can do in order to get your mortgage where you want it to be. And so we already talked about starting a business, and so some places that can help you are score.org if that happens to be in your area. There are retired business people that can help you. There's free mentoring for women as well, or there's the Small Business Development Center, or the Small Business Association. There's different centers that will actually give you free help. And I've actually gone to one place before where they helped me kind of get my ideas together. This was quite a few years ago, but I got a business plan together, and they kind of just give you ideas and give you extra places that can help you. And then real estate investing, I think, is really important, and values will always return. And so one of the things that I noticed, I mean, it's important to buy with cash, but sometimes you don't have the cash, and it's been stressful. I will be honest about that, because we have several investment homes that have cost us a lot of money, and so we have a lot of debt to our name, but we also have a lot of assets now because they've been paying themselves off. And it's interesting because you think that with the whole scare in the 2000s, like 2005 through 2010, when the bubble and all of that. So it's kind of scary for some, but I'm going to tell you that the way that I was able to still make money in real estate is that I purchased some homes in 2005 and then at the very worst of 2006. And what happened with those homes, for instance, one home I paid $200,000 for, you could actually get it for $85,000 at a certain point. And a lot of people were they were basically letting their homes foreclose, and for the mere reason that their home wasn't even worth what they owed. And so they thought, well, I'm just letting it foreclose. Other people foreclosed because they had to and they didn't have a way of paying it. But if you always put down 20% on a home, most of the time that's going to make your mortgage affordable. Not always, but whatever number that is, you can run your own calculations and figure out that if you can rent a home for $1,300 a month and your mortgage is going to be $1,200 or $1,100, then you're okay, because even if you're only making $100, but you can still keep that home. You don't have to foreclose it. But if you went and your mortgage was $1,500 and can only get 1,300, then you're upside down and that's a problem. And so I feel like putting the 20% down helps a lot, and then just knowing never to get into a situation where it's going to cost you more than what you can get out of the home. And also values increase a lot. So one of my homes, I used to be lucky to be able to get $1,100 for it, and I just rented it recently, and I had over 20 to 30 applicants that were willing to pay $1,300. So the values just keep going up. So if you have a fixed rate on your mortgage, it's only going to get better. And so that same house that was worth $85,000 has now come back to the original value that I paid for it. It's taken a lot of years, but my mortgage is down to maybe $120,000. And so you can see that since I paid $200 and then I had put 20% down, so I owed $160 or so. Now I owe about $120. And so you can see that I've already made $40,000 on just my renters paying it off every month. And there are expenses of owning real estate, so you have to be prepared for the AC to go out and for different expenses. I've noticed my most expensive thing has been like maybe $3 for an air conditioning unit, or I had to evict someone and I had to replace carpet and those kind of things, which also was only about $3,000 or $4,000, because I try to purchase the smaller homes under 2,000 square feet or about 2,000 square feet. I do have a 2,700 square foot home too, and I have a 3,100 square foot home. That one will be tougher when you have to go in and fix carpet and stuff like that. But if you can keep it affordable, then it works. I don't like to pay my money out of pocket, and so I like them to just fund themselves. And that's why I think the 20% down is really important. But that's kind of why I feel really comfortable with real estate investing, because the values will eventually come up even if you're in a bubble, and so you don't have to worry about that. My worst home was about, let's see, I paid $280,000 for it, and the value right now is probably still at $240,000 or less. It's probably about 220, 230, and then you have to pay realtor fees. And so it's not quite at a place where I can sell it. I could choose to sell it and just move on because I have a lot of equity in that home. And it actually makes me money every month because my mortgage is about it's about $900, but then I have a couple other expenses on there. But I'm probably making about $300 a month on that house every month. And so it's worth keeping because I'd be losing money if I went and sold it right now. But in a couple years, as my renters pay off the rest of it, and then as the values go up, I'll actually have made money on the home. It won't be a great home. So what I'm kind of telling you though is that it makes it worthwhile to invest still, because you're going to have some bad ones and some good ones, but your bad ones don't have to ruin you if you just keep them long enough. And then my best home I purchased for $236,000. It was a foreclosure, and I have it on the market right now for $360,000. Not only have I been paying it off, about $900 a month goes into the mortgage every month, but I make some in my pocket as well. And then it just is one of those homes that I'm going to be making more than $100,000 on when it's done. And so my worst one isn't going to kill me, and my best one is definitely great. That one was purchased in 2010, I believe. So that was when it was really bad, and my really bad house was purchased when it was like at the highest. And so it just makes sense to invest in real estate for me. And so this will conclude this part of it, and I do want to talk a little bit more about real estate investing, just more in depth, and then doing some stocks and things like that as well.